The man in the expensive coat was at my coffee shop again. Third time this week, which wasn't unusual for a regular customer, except he always seemed to arrive exactly when I did. Monday at 7:15 a.m., Wednesday at 7:17 a.m., and now Friday at 7:14 a.m. We'd done the awkward door-hold dance twice, exchanged polite smiles 3 times, and I'd noticed his coffee order never varied. Double espresso, no sugar. Looks like we have the same schedule, he said as we both reached for the door. His voice was deep, accented, Italian maybe. Up close, he was even more striking than I'd noticed from across the shop. Dark eyes, strong jawline, perfectly styled hair, and a small tattoo just visible above his collar. Seems that way. Though I'm usually more consistent with my timing. You're the punctual one. I smiled, trying not to stare. He was objectively beautiful in that intimidating, too-put-together way that usually meant wealthy businessman or model. Habit. I like routine. He held the door open, gesturing for me to enter first. After you. Inside, Mr. Chen greeted me with his usual warmth. Izzy, your regular? And blueberry muffin today, yes? Fresh batch. You know me too well, Mr. Chen. 7 years, you come here. I know everyone's favorite. He glanced at the man behind me. And you, sir? The usual double espresso, please. And whatever she's having on me. I turned surprised. Oh, you don't have to, I insist. Call it payment for the door holding you did Wednesday. We're even now. His smile was slight but genuine, transforming his serious face into something warmer. Well, thank you. I'm Izzy, by the way. Isabel, but everyone calls me Izzy. Nico. He extended his hand, and when I took it, his grip was firm, warm. Nice to officially meet you, Izzy. We ended up sitting at adjacent tables. The shop was crowded, and I pulled out my camera to review yesterday's shoot while eating my muffin. Fashion photography for a small boutique, nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills while I worked on my personal projects. You're a photographer? Nico asked, nodding toward my camera. Freelance. Mostly commercial work, but I do street photography for myself. You? I own some businesses. Restaurants, a few other ventures. Nothing as creative as photography. Restaurants? Which ones? Maybe I've eaten at them. Santoro's in Tribeca, a few others around the city. Do you eat Italian often? When I can afford it. Santoro's is beautiful, but a bit out of my price range for regular visits. You should come by. Mention my name. I'll make sure you're taken care of. He pulled out a business card, sliding it across the table. Simple, elegant, Nico Santoro, proprietor. That's generous. Thank you. It's self-serving. Good food should be photographed well, and something tells me you'd capture it perfectly. We talked for another 10 minutes before both needing to leave. As I walked to my studio, I felt strangely energized. Random encounter, pleasant conversation, handsome stranger. New York was full of these moments. Brief connections that meant nothing and everything. Didn't think much of it until I ran into him again that evening. I was at an art gallery opening in Chelsea, Maya's gallery, where she was showcasing a new mixed media artist. The space was packed with the usual crowd. Artists, collectors, people who looked important and might actually be. I was there for moral support and free wine. Izzy. You came. Maya hugged me, slightly tipsy already. Okay, so the artist is intense but talented. The pieces in the back corner are incredible. Go look, then tell me what you think. I need your photographer's eye. I wandered through the gallery, studying the work. Dark, moody pieces exploring urban isolation. Technically impressive, emotionally resonant. I was mentally composing how I'd photograph them when I heard a familiar voice. We meet again. I turned to find Nico standing behind me, holding a glass of red wine, looking just as surprised as I felt. Nico, what are the odds? In a city of 8 million? Astronomical. Though I suppose we do both live in Manhattan. He smiled. Are you here for the artist or the free alcohol? Moral support, actually. My best friend owns the gallery. You? A colleague mentioned the opening. I'm always looking for art for my restaurants. These pieces are interesting, dark but compelling. What do you think? We spent the next hour discussing the exhibition, art, photography, the strange interconnectedness of city life. He was intelligent, well-spoken, and genuinely interested in my opinions. No mansplaining, no dominating the conversation. Just actual dialogue. This is twice in one day, I observed as the gallery began emptying. The universe is either telling us something or mocking us with coincidence. Maybe both. Or maybe Manhattan is smaller than we think. He hesitated then. Would you like to get dinner? There's a place around the corner. Nothing fancy, just good food and conversation. I should probably say no. He was essentially a stranger, albeit one I'd now run into twice in one day. But something about him felt safe, solid, like he was the kind of person who kept his word and paid attention to details. Sure, why not? The universe seems invested in us talking anyway. Dinner was at a small Thai place, cramped and warm and smelling of lemongrass. We talked about everything. His childhood in Rome, my half-French heritage, why I chose photography, how he'd built his restaurant business from one small location to 5. He asked thoughtful questions, remembered details from our morning conversation, made me laugh with dry observations about New York pretensions. So you just happened to be at the same coffee shop and same art gallery on the same day, I said over pad thai. That's either remarkable coincidence or you're following me. If I were following you, I'd have chosen better locations. Coffee shops and art galleries? Fairly predictable. But something flickered across his face. Amusement, maybe, or guilt quickly covered. Though I'll admit, running into you twice was unexpected. Pleasant, but unexpected. Well, third time's the charm. If we randomly meet again, I'm going to start believing in fate. And if we don't, then it was just coincidence. 2 people with similar schedules and interests happening to occupy the same spaces. I smiled, though I wouldn't mind if we accidentally ran into each other again. This has been nice. It has. He paid the bill despite my protests, walked me to the subway, and pressed his business card into my hand again, in case you need restaurant recommendations, or want to schedule a less coincidental meeting. Are you asking me out? I'm leaving the option open. If fate brings us together again, great. If not, you have my number. I watched him walk away, tall and confident and somehow both mysterious and genuine. Then I went home, edited photos, and tried not to think about dark eyes and double espressos and the strange feeling that something significant had just begun. Monday morning, I changed my routine. Went to a different coffee shop in Soho, just to see what would happen, to test whether Nico would appear again or whether Friday had truly been coincidence. The new shop was fine. Good coffee, friendly staff. No Mr. Chen. I was reviewing photos on my laptop when someone set a blueberry muffin beside my coffee. You looked like you were missing something. Nico. Standing there with his double espresso and slight smile, acting like this was completely normal. How? I stared at him. How did you know I'd be here? I didn't. I work nearby, stop here sometimes. The coincidences continue. But there was something in his expression, too controlled, too carefully neutral, that made me wonder. Nearby. I thought your restaurants were in Tribeca and Midtown. I have an office building here, for the business operations. He gestured to the chair across from me. May I? I should confront him. Should point out that 3 coincidental meetings in 4 days strained credibility. But a larger part of me was curious. Curious about why he'd seek me out. Curious about what he wanted. Curious about the way he looked at me. Like I was a puzzle he was. Trying to solve and genuinely enjoying the process, sure. Sit. Tell me more about these business. Operations that conveniently place you in every location I happen to be. You think I'm following you. I think the odds of this many coincidences are mathematically improbable. But I also think if you were following me, you'd be better at hiding it. So I'm choosing to believe in either fate or your terrible surveillance skills. He laughed. A real laugh, not the polite chuckle from before. Fair assessment. And if I admitted I'd been hoping to run into you again, that I might have taken certain steps to increase the probability, I'd ask why you didn't just call me. You gave me your number twice. Because calling felt too forward, too presumptuous. But coincidentally appearing in your vicinity, that's just fate helping things along. That's stalking with better PR. Perhaps, but less threatening. A phone call can be declined. A coincidental meeting is just 2 people in the same place at the same time making conversation. He met my eyes directly. I wanted to see you again, Izzy. But I didn't want to pressure you or make you uncomfortable. So I chose the coward's route. Manufactured serendipity. I should be angry. Should feel violated or scared or at least annoyed. But looking at him, at the honest admission, the lack of manipulation in his tone, I felt something else. Intrigued. Maybe even flattered. How long have you been doing this? Manufacturing serendipity? Since the second coffee shop meeting. That one was genuine coincidence. But Friday's gallery? I knew you'd be there. Your friend Maya posts the gallery schedule online, and I remembered you mentioning her name. Today was more complicated. I had to guess which coffee shop you might try, given your pattern of exploring neighborhoods with good photography locations. You researched my patterns. I paid attention. There's a difference. He leaned back, studying me. I understand if this makes you uncomfortable. If you want me to stop, say so. I will. But Izzy, I've met a lot of people in this city. Most bore me within 5 minutes. You didn't. You fascinated me. Still do. And I wanted more time to figure out why. So you stalked me. So I created opportunities for us to talk. Respectful stalking, if such a thing exists. Despite everything, I laughed. Because he was right. He'd been courteous, non-threatening, genuinely interested in conversation rather than conquest. Weird? Absolutely. Creepy? Surprisingly, no. This is the strangest confession I've ever received. I'm a strange man with specific tastes and terrible social skills. But I'm honest, I'm interested, and I'm very good at logistics. If you're willing to overlook the orchestrated meetings, I'd like to see you again. Scheduled this time. No coincidences. I considered him, this beautiful, strange, oddly earnest man who'd been engineering encounters because he was too cautious or too calculating to just ask me out directly. One condition. Name it. No more manufactured coincidences. If you want to see me, ask. Directly. Like a normal person. Can you do that? Yes. So, Izzy Laurent, would you have dinner with me? Actual planned dinner? Date made in advance? No pretense of fate or coincidence? When? Tomorrow night. I'll cook. My place, if you're comfortable with that, or a restaurant if you'd prefer neutral ground. Your place. I'm curious to see where a man who engineers coincidences lives, and to see if you're as good at cooking as you are at strategic stalking. I'll take that as a yes. It's a very confused yes. But yes. He smiled. Broad, genuine, transforming. Then tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I'll text you the address. You already have my number, don't you? Maya's very helpful when someone expresses interest in commissioning photography for a restaurant. She gave it to me Friday night. Of course she did. Remind me to kill her later. Remind me to thank her. Without her unintentional assistance, I'd still be lurking in coffee shops hoping for genuine coincidence. After he left, I sat with my muffin and cooling coffee, trying to process what had just happened. A man had essentially admitted to stalking me, and I'd agreed to have dinner at his apartment. Either I was incredibly stupid or incredibly curious. Probably both. But as I walked back to my studio, I was smiling. Because Nico Santoro, mysterious restaurant owner, strategic coincidence engineer, terrible normal social skills haver, was at least interesting. In a city of 8 million people going through the motions, interesting was rare. Worth the risk of one dinner. Maybe worth more. I spent Tuesday afternoon second-guessing everything. Agreeing to have dinner at the apartment of a man who'd admitted to orchestrating our meetings probably violated several basic safety rules. I texted Maya. So, Nico Santoro, you gave him my number? Her response was immediate. OMG, yes. He bought 3 pieces from the gallery and asked about commissioning restaurant photography. I mentioned you. Was that wrong? He seemed nice, rich, hot, the Holy Trinity. He's been engineering coincidental meetings with me. Coffee shops, your gallery, etc. That's either creepy or romantic. Which is it? Haven't decided yet. Having dinner at his place tonight to figure it out. Izzy, Safety 101. Share his address with me. Check in every hour. Do not drink anything you didn't see poured. She was right to be concerned. But something about Nico felt safe despite the orchestrated meetings. He'd been honest when confronted. Had offered me complete control over whether we continued. Had maintained respectful distance even while pursuing me. Still, I shared his address with Maya and promised hourly check-ins. At 6:45 p.m., I stood outside a luxury building in Tribeca, suddenly aware of how different our worlds were. The doorman greeted me by name. Nico had clearly informed them, and directed me to the penthouse elevator. The elevator opened directly into his apartment, and I stepped into a space that was both impressive and surprisingly warm. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, modern furniture mixed with clearly personal touches, photos of family, books in Italian and English, art that looked collected over time rather than by a decorator, and the smell of cooking, garlic, herbs, something rich and wonderful. Izzy, perfect timing. Nico appeared from the kitchen area, wearing dark jeans and a simple black Henley, more relaxed than I'd seen him. The ink on his forearms was fully visible now. Italian phrases, religious imagery, dates that probably meant something significant. "Come in. Wine? Please. Red, if you have it." He poured from an already opened bottle, handed me a glass, and gestured toward the kitchen. "I hope you like osso buco. It's my nonna's recipe, though she'd probably critique my technique." "You actually cook?" I assumed that was a line. I own restaurants. If I couldn't cook, that would be embarrassing. He stirred something on the stove, comfortable and competent in his space. "And yes, I actually cook. It's meditative. Helps me think." "What do you think about while cooking? Tonight?" "Whether you'd actually show up or realize this was a terrible idea and block my number." He looked at me directly. "I'm glad you came. I'm glad you were honest yesterday. The fake coincidences were weird, but the confession was refreshing. Most people would have kept lying. Lying seemed counterproductive if I wanted you to trust me. And Izzy, I do want you to trust me, which is why I need to tell you something else before we go any further." My stomach dropped. Should I be worried? Possibly. Depends on your comfort with moral ambiguity. He leaned against the counter, wine in hand. "My restaurants are real, profitable, legitimate businesses, but they're not my primary source of income. I run other operations, imports mostly, some entertainment ventures, a few financial services." That's vague. Intentionally, because the details would probably scare you, and I'm trying to calibrate how much truth you can handle on a first real date. "Try me. I'm tougher than I look." He studied me for a long moment. "I'm what people politely call a businessman with diverse interests. What they less politely call someone who operates in gray areas. Not drugs, not trafficking, nothing that harms innocence. But also not entirely legal. I provide services, manage territories, handle disputes. The restaurants are my legitimate front. The rest is complicated. You're mafia." It wasn't a question. That word has connotations. But essentially, yes. I manage certain operations in Lower Manhattan. Nothing violent, nothing that would ever touch your life. But Izzy, I wanted you to know because continuing to see me means accepting that reality. I won't lie to you, won't hide what I do, but I also won't involve you. You'll be separate from that world, protected. I should run. Should thank him for dinner and leave immediately. Normal, safe people dated accountants and teachers, not men who casually admitted to running criminal operations. But I found myself asking, why tell me? You could have kept this hidden. Let me think you were just a successful restaurateur. Because you're observant. You'd figure it out eventually. And because I want whatever this is. He gestured between us. To be built on honesty. I orchestrated our meetings because I'm strategic and cautious. But I won't manipulate you about who I am. You deserve the truth up front. Then you can decide if I'm worth the complication. And if I decide you're not, then I'll be disappointed but understanding. Though I'd still like you to stay for dinner. The osso buco is excellent, and it would be a shame to waste it. I laughed despite the tension. You're very calm about potentially being rejected. I'm realistic. I know what I'm asking. Accept my interest. Accept my world. Accept the danger that comes with proximity to someone like me. That's a lot. So if you need to leave, I understand. But Izzy, I hope you'll stay. At least through dinner. Give me a chance to show you I'm more than my worst parts. I should leave. Every logical instinct said to walk away from this beautiful, dangerous man who engineered coincidences and ran criminal operations and looked at me like I was something precious and rare. Instead, I took a sip of wine and said, tell me about your nonna's osso buco recipe, and then tell me why someone who runs half of Lower Manhattan was lurking in coffee shops trying to manufacture fate. His smile was brilliant. The osso buco starts with veal shanks, braised low and slow, and I was lurking because the first time I saw you, genuine coincidence, 3 weeks ago, you were photographing morning light hitting your coffee cup. Completely absorbed, oblivious to everything around you. You looked peaceful, content, like you'd found something beautiful in an ordinary moment. I wanted to know what that felt like. Wanted to be part of whatever world let someone find that much joy in morning light. So you researched me. So I paid attention. Noticed you came to the same coffee shop most mornings. Noticed the camera. The way you moved through the world looking for shots. Asked Mr. Chen your name, carefully, casually. Then I looked you up. Found your photography website. Saw your work. And Izzy, you're talented. Really talented. You see things other people miss. Find beauty in corners and shadows and overlooked moments. I wanted to be seen that way. The way you see the world. I stopped, overwhelmed. That's the most romantic thing anyone's ever said to me. Also possibly the creepiest. I'm not sure which wins. Can it be both? Romantic and slightly creepy, but honest? I think with you, that's the only option. We ate dinner on his balcony. The city spread below us, and he told me more. About growing up in Rome, his father's expectations, how he'd built his operations from nothing. About his sister Sophia studying art in Florence, about the parts of his work that felt meaningful. Protecting his territory, supporting local businesses, providing opportunities for people the traditional system ignored. I'm not a good man, he said over Zabaglione. I've done things you'd probably hate me for if you knew details. But I try to be better than my worst moments. Try to build something that matters beyond just money and power. The restaurants, those are real, legitimate, something, I can be proud of without qualification. Why? Do I feel like you're trying to convince me you're not worth my time while simultaneously proving you are? Because I'm conflicted. I want you in my life. Want you so much I engineered multiple meetings just to talk to you. But I also know I'm dangerous. That being with me comes with risks. So I'm trying to be honest enough that you can make an informed choice. What if I choose you? Then I'll spend every day proving you made the right choice. And probably continue being overprotective and strategic and occasionally creepy in my devotion. I'm working on better expressing feelings through normal channels. How's that going? Terribly. Hence the manufactured coincidences instead of just asking you out like a normal person. He refilled my wine. But I'm learning. You're patient. I appreciate that. I'm not patient. I'm curious. There's a difference. Then I'm grateful for your curiosity. It's kept you here through multiple red flags. After dinner, we moved inside, and I noticed details I'd missed before. Security cameras, reinforced doors, a sophisticated alarm system. The apartment of someone who lived with constant awareness of danger. Do you ever relax? I asked, watching him check his phone for the third time in 10 minutes. Not really. Relaxation feels irresponsible when you're responsible for hundreds of people and multiple operations. He set the phone down deliberately. But I'm trying now, for you. Because I want you to see me as more than just the work. What are you when you're not working? Honestly, I don't know. It's been so long since I separated myself from the operations. But I'd like to find out. With you, maybe. If you're willing to keep seeing me, I should say no. Should protect myself from the inevitable complication of caring about someone whose life involved constant danger. But looking at him, at the vulnerability beneath the control, the hope beneath the careful strategy, I couldn't. I'm willing to keep seeing you. With conditions. Name them. First, no more orchestrated meetings. If you want to see me, ask, directly. Agreed. I've proven I'm terrible at subtle anyway. Second, keep being honest. About your work, your life, everything. I can handle truth. I can't handle deception. Done. What else? Third, I moved closer. Kiss me. Because we've had 2 coincidental meetings, 1 confession, and a dinner date. And I'm tired of wondering what it would feel like. He stood slowly, giving me time to reconsider. Then his hand cupped my face, and he kissed me. Soft at first, testing, then deeper when I responded. He tasted like wine and Zabaglione, and when his other hand settled on my waist, I felt the careful control in his touch, like he was holding back, trying not to overwhelm me. I pulled him closer, and he made a sound low in his throat. Surprise and want mixed together. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. I've been thinking about doing that since the first coffee shop meeting. You hide it well. Years of practice maintaining control. But Izzy, you make me want to lose it. Want to forget strategy and caution and just... He stopped, pulling back slightly. You should probably go home. Before I forget I'm trying to be a gentleman. What if I don't want you to be a gentleman? Then I'm going to kiss you again. and we're both going to regret how fast this is moving. Maybe fast is good. Maybe we've been building to this through 3 weeks of careful observation and orchestrated meetings and honesty. Maybe this is exactly the right speed. He kissed me again, and this time there was less control. More want. His hands in my hair, my hands under his shirt feeling the heat of his skin and the ridge of scars I'd wondered about. We ended up on his couch, tangled together, before he pulled back. Izzy, stop. We need to stop. Why? Because I want this to be right. Want you to be certain. Not caught up in wine and chemistry and the romance of danger. He sat up, running a hand through now disheveled hair. I'm asking you to be careful with me, with us. Because if we do this, really do this, I'm going to fall completely. I'm already halfway there, and I need to know you're ready for that intensity. I sat up too, straightening my clothes, trying to clear my head. He was right. This was fast, intense, probably reckless, but also, maybe, exactly what I'd been looking for without knowing it. I'm not ready yet, I admitted. For all of it. But I want to see where this goes. Can we do that? Take it slow but honest? Yes, slow and honest. I can do slow. I've been doing slow for 3 weeks. Lurking doesn't count as slow. It counts as patient observation. Give me credit for restraint. I left his apartment at midnight, my lips swollen from kissing, and my mind spinning with everything I'd learned. Nico Santoro was dangerous, strategic, possibly criminal, and absolutely interested in me, and I was absolutely interested back. Maya's text came immediately. Still alive? Alive, confused, kissed a mafia boss. Coming over tomorrow to process. Excuse me, what tomorrow? I promise. Too much to text. I fell asleep thinking about dark eyes and manufactured coincidences, and the way Nico had kissed. Me like I was something precious he was afraid to break. Dangerous, definitely. Dangerous, but maybe the best kind. Wednesday morning. I showed up at Maya's apartment with coffee and pastries. Prepared for the interrogation. Start from the beginning. Leave nothing out. She pulled me onto her couch, laptop open to Nico's restaurant website. I Googled him last night. Successful restaurateur, very private, no criminal record, publicly anyway. But Izzy, look at this. She pulled up a society page photo from 2 years ago. Nico in a tuxedo at some gala, looking devastating and completely isolated despite being surrounded by people. He's always alone in photos. No girlfriend, no dates, nothing. Then suddenly he's engineering coincidences to meet you. He saw me at the coffee shop, said I looked peaceful and he wanted to know what that felt like. That's romantic. That's what I said. Then he told me he's mafia. Maya's coffee cup stopped halfway to her mouth. I'm sorry, what? Not drugs or trafficking. Gray areas. Operations in Lower Manhattan. The restaurants are legitimate, but there's more. He wanted me to know up front before we continued. And you're still seeing him. Izzy, this is dangerous. Like, actually dangerous. Not bad boy with a motorcycle, dangerous. Could get you killed, dangerous. He said I'd be separate from that world. Protected. Everyone says that until something goes wrong. She grabbed my hands. I'm not saying don't see him. I'm saying be careful, be smart, and tell me everything so if you disappear, I can give the police detailed information. You're so reassuring. I'm realistic. Also, she pulled up another photo. He's gorgeous, clearly obsessed with you, and apparently cooks. So I understand the temptation. Just don't lose yourself in those dark eyes and forget basic self-preservation. We spent 2 hours analyzing everything. His behavior, his confession, the way he'd kissed me then stopped before things went too far. Maya's verdict. He's either genuinely trying to do right by you, or he's an exceptionally skilled manipulator. Time will tell which. That afternoon, I was editing photos in my studio when my phone rang. Unknown number. Izzy? It's Nico. I realize I never actually got your number. Had to call Maya's gallery to get it. Is that creepy again or just persistent? Depends. Why are you calling? To ask you to dinner. Properly, no manufactured coincidences. Tomorrow night, my restaurant. I want you to see that part of my world. The legitimate part I'm actually proud of. That sounds like a real date. It is. I'm trying this new thing called normal courtship. How am I doing? Better. Still slightly obsessive, but improving. I'll take it. 7 p.m. I'll send a car. I can take the subway. You could, but I'd prefer knowing you arrived safely. Humor me? I agreed, and we talked for another 20 minutes. About my current photography project, documenting small businesses in changing neighborhoods. About his sister's upcoming art show in Florence. About nothing and everything. Easy conversation that felt natural despite the unusual circumstances of how we'd met. After hanging up, I stared at my phone. This was real. I was dating, if that's what this was. Someone who ran criminal operations and sent cars and probably had people watching me to ensure my safety. It should terrify me. Instead, I felt strangely secure, like someone was finally paying attention. Really paying attention. Thursday evening. A black car arrived exactly at 6:45. The driver introduced himself as Marco, assured me Nico sent his regards, and drove me to Tribeca in comfortable silence. Santoro's was beautiful, exposed brick, warm lighting, the smell of garlic and wine and something rich. Nico met me at the entrance, wearing dark slacks and a white shirt with rolled sleeves, those tattoos visible. You came. You sent a very punctual car. It seemed rude to refuse. I'm learning you respond well to logistics and planning. Good to know. He guided me through the restaurant, past tables full of happy diners, to a private room in the back. Intimate, quiet, a table set for two with candles and flowers. I wanted you to myself tonight. No interruptions, no staff hovering. Just us. Nico, this is beautiful. You're beautiful. The room is just accurately decorated. He pulled out my chair. I asked the chef to prepare a tasting menu. If you trust me to order for you, I trust you, surprisingly. Dinner was incredible, each course better than the last, paired with perfect wines. And through it all, Nico told me stories. About opening the restaurant, about his nonna's recipes influencing the menu, about the chef he'd hired from Sicily, who'd taught him half of what he knew. You really love this, I observed. The restaurant. It's not just a front. It's the part of my life that makes sense, where hard work equals success, where I can create something people enjoy without moral ambiguity. He refilled my wine. The other operations, they're necessary. They provide for my people, protect our territories. But this is what I'd do if I could choose only one thing. Why can't you? Just focus on restaurants, leave the rest? Because I have responsibilities. People who depend on me, debts and loyalties built over years. You don't just walk away from my world, Izzy. You manage it until you can transition out carefully, which I'm doing slowly. In 5 years, maybe less, everything will be legitimate. That's a long time. That's reality. But Izzy, I need you to understand. The dangerous parts of my life will never touch you. I keep those worlds separate. You'll meet the restaurant owner, the brother, the man trying to be better. Not the rest. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it and his expression shifted, harder, colder. The warmth disappearing into something dangerous. I need to take this. I'm sorry. 2 minutes? He stepped outside, and through the glass I could see him talking. Sharp gestures, tense posture. This was the other Nico, the one who ran operations and handled threats. He returned 5 minutes later, composed but different. The warmth forced now, not natural. Everything okay? I asked. Business. Nothing that concerns you. But his jaw was tight, his eyes scanning the room reflexively. The man who'd been relaxed and open was gone, replaced by someone alert and calculating. Nico, talk to me. What happened? A situation in one of my territories. Being handled. I said you'd be separate from this, and I meant it. You don't need to worry. I'm not worried. I'm here, with you. Let me be here for the real parts, not just the curated version. He studied me for a long moment. Then, there was an incident at one of the clubs I manage. Rival organization making moves, testing boundaries. My people are handling it, but I need to check in after dinner. Make sure it's resolved properly. Will there be violence? Not if I can avoid it. Violence is expensive and draws attention. I prefer diplomatic solutions. He took my hand across the table. But yes, sometimes there's violence. Sometimes people get hurt. That's the reality of what I do. And Izzy, if that's too much, if knowing that changes how you see me, I understand. I thought about it. About the man who'd orchestrated coincidences because he was too cautious to just ask me out, who'd been honest about his world, who kissed me like I was precious and stopped when things moved too fast. That man also handled territorial disputes and managed operations where violence was sometimes necessary. Both versions were real. Both were Nico. It doesn't change how I see you. It adds context. Makes you more complicated, but not less. I stopped, unsure what word to use. Less what? Less worth knowing. Worth being here with. You're not just the dangerous parts or just the gentle parts. You're all of it, and I'm trying to understand all of it. His grip on my hand tightened. You're remarkable. You know that? Most people hear violence and run. You hear it and ask questions. Try to understand. I'm a photographer. I'm trained to see the whole picture, not just the pretty parts. Then see this. I'm trying to be better. For myself, for my sister, for the future I want. And now for you, because Izzy, you make me want to be the man who only runs restaurants. Who comes home to someone who sees morning light as beautiful? Who doesn't check his phone every 5 minutes for crisis updates? Can you be that man? Eventually. With time and careful planning. But right now, I'm still the man who needs to leave this dinner early to handle a territorial dispute. And I hate that. Hate choosing the operations over time with you. Then don't. Handle your crisis. I'll wait. You'll wait? I brought my camera. I'll photograph the restaurant while you're gone. Document the legitimate parts of your world. Then you come back and tell me about the other parts. All of it, Nico. I want to understand all of it. He stood, came around the table, and kissed me. Hard and grateful and slightly desperate. I'll be back in an hour. Don't leave. Please. I'll be here. I watched him go, making calls as he walked, his whole demeanor shifting into someone commanding and dangerous. Then I pulled out my camera and started shooting. The candlelit tables, the kitchen's organized chaos, the diners laughing and eating, and completely unaware that the man who owned this beautiful space was currently handling threats and violence somewhere in the city. 2 worlds, same man. 90 minutes later, Nico returned. His knuckles were bruised, his shirt slightly disheveled, but his expression was calmer. "Show me your photos," he said, sliding into the seat beside me instead of across. I pulled up the shots I'd taken. Candid moments of staff and diners, the play of light through wine glasses, the energy of a successful restaurant. "You see it," he said quietly. "The beauty in ordinary moments. I knew you would. Your knuckles are bruised." The diplomatic solution required some physical emphasis. But it's handled. No one's seriously hurt, boundaries reestablished, situation resolved. Does it happen often? The violence? Less than it used to. I'm getting better at negotiating first. But yes, sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes talking isn't enough, and you need to prove you're willing to back up your words with action. He touched my face gently. "Does that scare you?" "A little. But Nico, you scare me less than the idea of walking away without understanding who you really are. So tell me. Help me understand." He did. For the next 2 hours, sitting in that private room with cold pasta and warm wine, he told me about his world. The territories, the operations, the balance between violence and diplomacy. The people who depended on him, the responsibilities he carried, the parts he was proud of, protecting his neighborhood, supporting local businesses, and the parts he wasn't. "I'm not a good man," he said finally, "but I'm trying to be a better one. And Izzy, you make me want to try harder. Want to build something clean and legitimate. Want to be someone you can be proud of, not just someone you understand." I'm already proud of you, for being honest, for trying, for letting me see all of it instead of just the sanitized version. You're supposed to run screaming. That's the normal response. I'm a photographer who documents changing neighborhoods and declining small businesses. Normal responses bore me. I took his bruised hand carefully. "But Nico, I need you to promise me something. Anything. Don't shelter me completely. Don't decide what I can and can't handle. I'm tougher than I look, and I'd rather know ugly truths than be protected by pretty lies. That's asking a lot. My instinct is to protect you, keep you separate from the dangerous parts. I know. But that's not partnership. That's you making all the decisions about my safety and my knowledge. I want in, Nico. Not to the violence, but to understanding your world. Can you give me that?" He was quiet for a long time. "Then, I can try. It goes against every instinct I have. But yes, I can try to let you in, trust you to handle it. Just Be patient with me when I slip into overprotective mode. It's deeply ingrained. Deal. And Nico, thank you for coming back, for not just handling the crisis and disappearing, for choosing to include me. Always. I'll always come back to you. Even when the rest of my world is chaos, you're the calm center. I need that. Need you. We left the restaurant together, his hand in mine, and I felt the weight of what I'd chosen. This man, this complicated, dangerous, beautiful man who manufactured coincidences and ran criminal operations and kissed me like I was his. Salvation. Terrifying. Exhilarating. Absolutely. Right. Come home with me, he said outside. Not for just to stay. Talk more, fall asleep together. Wake up next to someone for once. You don't usually? I don't usually let people into my private space. But Izzy, you're already in. Have been since that first coffee shop meeting. I just didn't know it yet. I went home with him and we talked until dawn about everything and nothing. His childhood, my family, dreams and fears, and the strange path that had brought us together. And when we finally slept, tangled together in his bed with the city lights beyond the windows, I thought, this is what it feels like. Peace, safety, home, with the most dangerous man I'd ever met. Perfect. I woke up in Nico's bed to the smell of coffee and the sound of him speaking Italian on the phone. Low, rapid, commanding, the version of him that ran operations. I lay still, listening to the rhythm of unfamiliar words, watching him pace by the windows in sweatpants and nothing else, those tattoos catching morning light. He noticed me awake and switched to English mid-sentence. Handle it. I'll be there in 2 hours. No, she's not. He stopped, meeting my eyes. She's not a complication. She's separate. Keep it that way. After hanging up, he came to the bed, sitting on the edge. Good morning. Coffee? Please. And I'm not separate anymore, remember? I asked you not to shelter me. You're separate from the operations. Not from me. There's a difference. He handed me a mug from the nightstand. That was about a shipment issue. Boring logistics, nothing dangerous. But it means I need to go to the docks this morning. You can stay here, or I can have Marco drive you home. Or I could come with you. See what boring logistics look like in your world? Absolutely not. The docks are, Izzy, no. That's not negotiable. Because it's dangerous? Or because you don't trust me? Because I don't trust everyone else there. My people are loyal, but there are other organizations, rival interests. You'd be vulnerable, a target. His jaw was set, that protective instinct clearly winning. I promise to be honest with you. I'm being honest. The docks aren't safe for you. Okay. But Nico, at some point, you're going to have to let me into more than just your apartment and restaurant. If we're doing this, really doing this, I need to understand your whole world. We'll get there. Slowly. But today, you stay safe. He kissed my forehead. There's food in the kitchen. Stay as long as you want. I'll be back by noon. After he left, I explored his apartment more thoroughly. Photos of a young, dark-haired girl at various ages. Sophia, his sister. Books in Italian and English, mostly history and business. A framed letter in Italian that looked old and precious. Everything carefully maintained but clearly lived in. This was his sanctuary, and he'd let me into it. My phone buzzed. Maya, did you come home last night? Should I be worried or happy for you? At his place. Just slept, nothing else. He had a work crisis, came back. We talked until dawn. That's almost more intimate than sex. Izzy, be careful. I can tell you're falling. She was right. I was falling. Fast and hard for a man whose world included violence and territorial disputes and secrets he couldn't share. Smart? Probably not. Worth it? Increasingly, yes. Nico returned at 12:30 with Thai takeout and an apologetic expression. Logistics took longer than expected. How was your morning? Productive. I edited photos, snooped through your bookshelf, judged your coffee setup. Standard morning after activities. Find anything interesting? You read a lot of history. You keep photos of your sister everywhere, and you have terrible taste in coffee. That's a machine for amateurs. I'm not a coffee snob like some people. I just need caffeine to function. We'll work on that. But Nico, can I ask about Sophia? You mention her often, but I've never seen her. She's in Florence, studying art restoration. Brilliant, stubborn, completely uninterested in the family business. I keep her separate from all of it. She thinks I just own restaurants and make boring investments. Does that bother you? That she doesn't know? It protects her. The less she knows, the safer she is. Same principle I'm trying to apply to you, though you're making that difficult. Because I'm nosy? Because you're curious and brave and completely unintimidated by things that should scare you. He pulled me close. It's attractive and terrifying in equal measure. We ate lunch on the balcony, and he told me about his morning, the shipment delays, negotiations with dock supervisors, the delicate balance of maintaining relationships while asserting authority, business essentially, just with higher stakes and occasional threats. It sounds exhausting, I said. Always managing relationships, always strategizing. Don't you ever just want to stop? Every day. But stopping means leaving my people vulnerable, means territory disputes and power vacuums and violence. So I manage it until I can transition out cleanly. 5 years, maybe less. What happens in 5 years? Everything legitimate. The operations sold or dissolved, money clean, just restaurants and maybe some real estate. A normal life. Something you could be part of without moral compromise. What if I don't need you to be normal? What if I'm okay with complicated? Then you're either very brave or very foolish. I haven't decided which. That afternoon, I had a work commitment, photographing a small bookstore in the East Village for a preservation project. Nico insisted on having Marco drive me, which I accepted because arguing about basic safety seemed exhausting. The bookstore was beautiful, cramped and dusty and full of character. The owner, Mrs. Lin, had run it for 40 years and was facing closure due to rising rent. I was documenting it for a neighborhood coalition trying to preserve small businesses. I was shooting the poetry section when I noticed 2 men outside. Watching. Not browsing, not walking past. Watching. The same 2 men had been across the street when I arrived. I texted Nico. Are you having me followed? His response was immediate. Yes, 2 of my people. For your safety, I should have told you. Sorry. We're going to discuss boundaries later. But right now, there are 2 other men watching me. Not yours. Get to Marco. Now. I'm sending backup. My heart raced, but I kept my expression neutral, continuing to photograph while moving casually toward the back of the store. Mrs. Lin was in her office, and I knocked softly. Is there a back exit? She looked at me, then at the front window where the men were now entering the store. This way. Quickly. We slipped out the back into an alley where Marco was already waiting, having somehow anticipated this. In the car, Miss Laurent, now. I got in, and he drove, fast, efficient, taking turns I couldn't follow. 5 minutes later, we pulled up to a different location, and Nico was there, his expression thunderous. Are you hurt? I'm fine. Confused and slightly terrified, but fine. What just happened? You were followed by people not associated with me. Someone knew you'd be there. He pulled me close, and I felt him shaking slightly. Anger or fear, I couldn't tell. This is exactly what I was trying to prevent. You being exposed, becoming a target? Target for what? Who were they? Probably a rival organization testing boundaries. Seeing who matters to me, who they can leverage. And Izzy, you matter. Which makes you vulnerable. So what now? You lock me in your apartment? Keep me under constant surveillance? Now I keep you safe until I figure out who's making moves and shut it down. He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. And yes, probably more surveillance than you're comfortable with. Because the alternative is you getting hurt to get to me. I won't allow that. Nico, you can't control everything. I can control this. My people will keep you safe while I handle whoever thought threatening you was acceptable. His voice had gone cold, dangerous. This was the man who handled territorial disputes with violence when necessary. Go home, pack a bag. You're staying at my place until this is resolved. That's not a request, is it? No. It's me being honest about the reality of my world touching yours. I'm sorry, Izzy, but you're moving in temporarily, whether you like it or not. 3 days later, I was living in Nico's penthouse, under what basically amounted to house arrest. Comfortable house arrest. He'd had Marco bring my cameras, my clothes, my equipment, but still constrained. I could work from the apartment, but leaving required security. Going anywhere meant 2 of his people accompanying me. I feel like a prisoner, I told him on day 3, frustration boiling over. A well-treated prisoner, but still, you're not a prisoner. You're protected. There's a difference. Is there? Because from here, it feels pretty similar. Izzy, there's an active threat. Someone targeted you specifically to get to me. Until I neutralize that threat, you stay where I can keep you safe. His voice was firm, inflexible. I know you hate this. I hate this. But I won't risk you. What if I'm willing to take that risk? I'm not. He pulled me close despite my resistance. You asked me not to shelter you, to let you into my world. Well, this is my world. Sometimes people I care about become targets, and I have to protect them whether they like it or not. This is what you signed up for. I signed up for honesty, for partnership, not for being locked in a gilded cage. Then I'm sorry I can't give you what you want right now. But Izzy, I'd rather have you angry and alive than free and dead. That's not negotiable. We fought about it for hours. My need for independence versus his need to protect. My frustration versus his fear. Finally, exhausted, I retreated to his office where he'd set up a workspace for me. Maya called that evening. How's prison? Luxurious and infuriating. He won't let me leave without armed escort. Because someone tried to grab you. Izzy, that's reasonable paranoia. It's controlling. It's caring. There's a difference. Look, I know you value independence, but sometimes accepting help isn't weakness. Sometimes it's partnership. She paused. He's scared. I can hear it in how you describe him. He's terrified something will happen to you because of him. So his fear means I lose my freedom. His fear means he's human, flawed, trying to protect something he values. Cut him some slack, or don't. But Izzy, decide what you really want. Because this, the protection, the surveillance, the occasional lockdown, this is his reality. If you can't accept it, maybe you need to walk away before you're in deeper. After we hung up, I sat with that. Maya was right. This was Nico's reality. Violence, protection, constant vigilance. I'd asked to be let into his world. Well, this was that world. Uncomfortable, restrictive, sometimes frightening. But also, someone who'd drop everything to keep me safe. Who'd assign people to watch over me even when I didn't know I needed it. Who was currently handling threats so I wouldn't have to. That night, I found Nico in his office, looking exhausted and tense. I'm sorry, I said from the doorway. For fighting you on this, I hate feeling trapped, but I understand why you're doing it. He looked up, surprise crossing his face. You're apologizing? I'm acknowledging reality. You're protecting me because someone made me a target. That's not controlling, that's caring. I was just too frustrated to see it clearly. You have every right to be frustrated. I'm disrupting your entire life. You're keeping me alive. There's a difference. I moved into the room, sitting on the edge of his desk. How much longer until this is resolved? Days, maybe a week. I'm close to identifying who's behind it. Once I know, I can handle it permanently. Handle it meaning negotiate first. Violence if negotiation fails. Either way, the threat ends. His eyes were hard, dangerous. No one threatens what's mine and walks away unscathed. I'm yours? Completely. Have been since I first engineered that coffee shop meeting. You're mine, Izzy. And I protect what's mine with everything I have. I should be disturbed by the possessiveness. Instead, I felt safe, claimed, like someone finally cared enough to fight for me. Okay, I'm yours, and you're mine, which means you don't shut me out or make unilateral decisions. We're partners, remember? Even in crisis. Even in crisis, he agreed. I'll try to remember that, though my protective instincts are stronger than my partnership instincts. Then we'll work on it together. But Nico, promise me something. Anything. When this is over, when the threat is handled, take me to the docks. Show me that part of your world. Stop sheltering me from the reality you live with every day. He studied me for a long moment. You're sure? I'm sure. I want to understand all of it. The violence, the protection, the operations, all of it, then I promise. When this is over, I'll show you everything. No more shelter, no more protection from ugly truths, just honesty. That's all I'm asking for. He pulled me into his lap, holding me tight. You're remarkable. You know that? Most people would have run by now, but you're still here, demanding to be let further in. I'm invested now. Might as well go all in. All in with a mafia boss. That's either the bravest or stupidest thing you've ever done. Probably both. But Nico, I wouldn't change it. Good. Because I'm not letting you go. Ever. 6 days into my protective custody. Nico came home early with an expression I'd learned to read. Satisfied, dangerous, resolved. It's handled. I looked up from editing photos on his couch. The threat? Identified and neutralized. A small crew trying to expand territory by targeting my interests. We had a conversation. They've been persuaded to focus their ambitions elsewhere. He shed his jacket, and I noticed blood on his cuff. It's over. You're safe. Are you hurt? Not my blood. And before you ask, no one died. But some people have a clearer understanding of boundaries now. He sat beside me, suddenly looking exhausted. You can go home whenever you want. Back to your life, your independence. Though I'd prefer if you stayed. Prefer or require? Prefer. I'm trying to be less controlling. How am I doing? Better. But Nico, you promised me something. When the threat was over, you'd show me your world. The docks, the operations, everything. He was quiet for a moment. I did promise that, and I keep my promises. But Izzy, once you see it, really see it, you can't unsee it. You'll understand exactly what I do, what I'm capable of. That knowledge changes things. I want it to change things. Want to know all of you, not just the parts you think I can handle. Tomorrow, then, I'll take you to the docks, introduce you to my people, show you how the operations actually work. But tonight, just let me hold you. Let me remember why I do any of this. We stayed on the couch until late, my head on his chest, his arms around me like I was something precious he was afraid to lose. And maybe I was. Maybe we both were. Two people finding something unexpected and choosing to hold on despite all the reasons to let go. The next morning, Marco drove us to Red Hook before sunrise. The docks were industrial and cold, the air smelling of salt water and diesel. Nico's hand was firm on my lower back as we walked through warehouses and shipping containers. This is the primary import operation. Legitimate goods mixed with less legitimate. Wine, olive oil, specialty foods from Italy, and other items that come through less official channels. He nodded to workers who greeted him with respect. Some called him boss, others Nico, all with clear deference. Nothing harmful. No drugs, no weapons for street violence. Mostly goods that avoid certain taxes and regulations. Smuggling. Selective importing. There's a difference. He introduced me to his lieutenants. Dante, his consigliere, sharp-eyed and assessing. Marco, who I already knew. Several others whose names I tried to remember while they clearly evaluated whether I was a threat or an asset. She's under my protection, Nico told them. Anyone who touches her answers to me. Spread the word. Boss, is that wise? Dante asked carefully. Making her position so public? It makes her a target. It makes her untouchable. Everyone knows the cost of threatening what's mine. That protection goes both ways. His hand tightened on my waist. Any questions? No one questioned. They nodded, accepted, moved on to business discussions about shipments and schedules and territory agreements. I stood beside Nico, listening, understanding more than I wanted to about the complex web of relationships and threats that made up his world. This wasn't romanticized danger. This was business. Calculated, strategic, occasionally violent, but mostly just ruthlessly efficient. And Nico navigated it with the same focus he brought to running his restaurants. Just with higher stakes. What do you think? He asked later, after the meetings ended and we stood looking out at the water. I think it's more complicated than I imagined. Less dramatic, more logistical. You're essentially running an import business with creative interpretations of customs law. That's the most generous description I've ever heard. I'm trying to understand it from your perspective. You're not hurting people. You're moving goods, managing relationships, providing opportunities for people the system ignores. It's not entirely noble, but it's not entirely evil either. Most things aren't. The world is mostly gray areas and complicated choices. He turned to face me. Now that you've seen it, how do you feel? Still want to be part of this? I want to be part of you. This is part of you. So yes, I touched his face gently. But Nico, I need you to promise me something else. What? Eventually, when the 5 years are up and everything is legitimate, you let it go. Really let it go. Because I can accept this now, but I don't want to live in gray areas forever. I want the version of you that just runs restaurants and comes home for dinner. Can you give me that? Yes, I promise. In 5 years, maybe less, this all ends. Clean transition, legitimate businesses, normal life. For you, I'll make it happen. For us. We're partners, remember? For us, he agreed. Everything for us. That afternoon, we returned to the penthouse to find an unexpected visitor waiting in the lobby. A young woman with dark hair and Nico's eyes, arguing with the doorman in rapid Italian. Sophia? Nico's voice was shocked. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be in Florence. Sorpresa. She switched to English, grinning. Surprise visit for my favorite brother, and you must be Izzy. He's mentioned you exactly once on the phone, which means you're very important. I'm Sophia, only sister, Nico corrected, hugging her. And yes, this is Izzy. How long are you here? A week. Maybe 2. My program has a break, and I wanted to see New York. And you, obviously. Though you never visit me, so I had to come to you. I visit. Once a year, barely. You're too busy with your boring business operations. She turned to me conspiratorially. He thinks I don't know what he really does. Like I'm stupid. I've known since I was 16. Nico's expression was priceless. Shock mixed with resignation. You knew? You're not subtle. The security, the business meetings at odd hours, the way people treat you. Please. But I appreciate you trying to shelter me. Very sweet, very overprotective big brother. She linked her arm through mine. Now, Izzy, tell me everything. How did you meet my brother? Is he as controlling with you as he is with me? Does he ever relax, or is he always in business mode? Sophia, Nico started. Shush. I'm bonding with your girlfriend. Go away. For the next hour, Sophia interrogated me. Friendly, but thorough, clearly protective of her brother despite her teasing. She asked about my photography, my family, how I'd ended up with someone like Nico. He orchestrated coincidental meetings, I admitted. 3 of them before confessing. That's so creepy and so him. Strategic stalking. Very Nico, she laughed. But he looks at you differently. Less tense, almost happy. That's rare. Usually he's all business and worry. You're good for him, he's good for me too, in unexpected ways. Good, because if you hurt him, I'll hurt you. Fair warning, but her eyes were warm, accepting. Though I don't think you will. You look at him like he's complicated and you're okay with that. Most people can't handle complicated. That evening, the 3 of us had dinner at the penthouse. Sophia told stories about Nico's childhood, his overprotectiveness even then, his strategic mind, how he'd managed their father's expectations while shielding her from pressure. He's been taking care of me since Mama died, she said. 15 years of playing parent, when he should have been living his own life. So Izzy, thank you for giving him something beyond responsibility. He deserves that. After Sophia went to the guest room, Nico pulled me onto the balcony. I'm sorry about her showing up unannounced. She does that, makes decisions and expects everyone to adapt. She's wonderful. Sharp, funny, clearly loves you. Why didn't you tell me she knew about your work? Because I didn't know she knew. I thought I'd successfully kept that world separate from her. Apparently I'm not as subtle as I thought. He sighed. She's the one person I've tried to keep completely clean. But Sophia's always been too smart for her own good. Like someone else I know. The strategic stalking, the careful planning. She's right. That's very you. Are you mocking me? I'm appreciating you. All your complicated, overprotective, occasionally creepy parts. I kissed him softly. Your sister approves of me. That feels significant. It is. Sophia's opinion matters. If she didn't like you, this would be much more difficult. He pulled me closer. She's here for 2 weeks. Can you handle 2 weeks of her living with us? She's intense. I can handle intense. I'm dating you. Fair point. Over the next 2 weeks, Sophia became a constant presence. She dragged me to galleries and museums, insisted on photographing her for my portfolio, and slowly extracted every detail about my relationship with her brother. He's different with you, she observed one afternoon at the MoMA. Less controlling, more open. I've never seen him like this. He's still pretty controlling, but he's trying not to be. For you, he's trying. That's huge. Nico doesn't change for anyone, except apparently you. I think we change each other, push each other to be better versions of ourselves. That's what the best relationships do. Make you more yourself, not less. She studied a painting thoughtfully. Are you scared? Of his world, his work, the danger? Sometimes, but I'm more scared of walking away and wondering what we could have been. Good answer. He needs someone brave enough to stay. He's had too many people leave. That night I asked Nico about it. Sophia said people leave you. What did she mean? Exactly that. Friends, relationships, anyone who gets close enough to see what I really do, they leave. Can't handle the reality or don't want the complications. It's why I keep people at distance. Why I was so cautious with you. But you told me everything up front, gave me the chance to leave before I was too invested. Because if you were going to leave, I wanted it to be for honest reasons, not because you discovered something later and felt deceived. He traced patterns on my arm absently. But Izzy, you stayed. Through the threats, the protection, seeing the docs. You're still here. I'm still here. I'm not going anywhere. Promise? I promise. You're stuck with me. Complicated, dangerous, occasionally overprotective you. Best thing I've ever been stuck with. Sophia left after 2 weeks with hugs and promises to visit again soon. Take care of him, she told me at the airport. And let him take care of you. He needs that, to protect something precious. You're precious to him. Don't forget that. After she was gone, the penthouse felt quieter, emptier. We'd gotten used to her energy, her laughter, the way she'd made Nico relax and smile. I should visit her more, he said that evening. She's right, once a year isn't enough. I've been so focused on work that I forgot about actually living. Then we'll visit together. Florence in the spring. Make time for things beyond territory disputes and shipment schedules. We. I like that you say we now. Like you're planning a future with me. I am planning a future with you. Is that okay? It's everything. It's what I've wanted since I first saw you in that coffee shop, looking for beauty in ordinary moments. He pulled me close. Izzy Laurent, you've completely disrupted my carefully controlled life. Made me want things I'd given up on. Made me believe I could have something beyond work and responsibility. What do you want? Beyond work? You, a life with you. Eventually a family with you. Something real and permanent and not built on gray areas and complicated choices. I want the future I've been working toward to include you in every part. Then ask me. Ask you what? What you've been thinking about for weeks. I can see it in how you look at me. The question you're too cautious to say out loud yet. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, move in with me. Officially. Not temporarily because of threats, but permanently because you want to. Bring all your things. Make this space yours. Build a life here with me. Yes, yes. Just like that? Just like that. I've been unofficially living here for weeks anyway. Might as well make it official. I kissed him. Besides, your coffee setup is terrible. I need to fix that. He laughed. Genuine, unguarded joy. You're saying yes to moving in because of my coffee machine? I'm saying yes because I love you. The coffee machine is just a bonus project. You love me. I love you. Complicated, overprotective, occasionally creepy you. All of it. I love you too. Have loved you since that first coincidental meeting. Maybe even before. He kissed me thoroughly. This is happening fast. We've been building to this since you started orchestrating coincidences. It's not fast. It's just finally catching up to where we've been heading all along. Then let's catch up completely. Move in, build a life, plan that future we both want. Together. Together. I agreed. Always together. 1 year later, I woke up to an empty bed and the smell of coffee. The good coffee. From the espresso machine I'd installed 6 months ago after declaring his old setup an insult to caffeine. Nico had complained about the expense, then proceeded to use it every single morning with obvious satisfaction. My phone showed 7:15 a.m. Saturday. No work emergencies. No territorial disputes requiring his attention. Just a normal morning in the life we'd built together. I found him on the balcony with 2 cups, already dressed in jeans and a dark Henley, looking relaxed in a way that would have been impossible a year ago. The operations had been downsized significantly. He'd sold off several territories, consolidated others, focused on transitioning everything toward legitimate businesses. Not fully clean yet, but closer. Maybe another year, maybe less. Good morning, photographer. He handed me a cup. I have a question for you. At 7:15 a.m.? This better be good. It's important. Life-changing, actually. He was smiling, that slight smile that meant he was pleased with himself. Do you remember where we first met? Genuinely met before I started orchestrating coincidences? The coffee shop, Mr. Chen's place. Why? Because I was thinking about coincidences. About fate and strategy and how sometimes you have to manufacture your own luck. He set down his cup. Get dressed. Wear something nice but comfortable. We're going out. It's 7:15 in the morning. I know. Trust me? 40 minutes later, Marco drove us to the Lower East Side, to Mr. Chen's coffee shop specifically. The same one where Nico had coincidentally appeared a year ago, starting everything. Why are we here? I asked as we approached the familiar door. Because a year ago, I walked through this door planning to manufacture a coincidence, planning to engineer fate because I was too cautious to just introduce myself. He held the door open. That same gesture from a year ago. After you. Inside, Mr. Chen greeted us with his familiar warmth. Izzy, Nico, your usual, please. And Mr. Chen, thank you for opening early for us. I appreciate it. For you two, always. You're my best love story. I tell everyone. That man, he come here every day for 3 weeks just watching her. Then finally coincidence. Mr. Chen winked. Very romantic coincidence. We sat at the same tables we'd occupied that first morning. Adjacent. Close enough to talk, but not presumptuous. And Nico pulled out a small velvet box. A year ago, I sat here planning how to talk to you. How to seem casual and coincidental instead of obsessed and strategic. I'd already been watching you for weeks, learning your patterns, trying to work up courage to introduce myself. And that morning, I decided, today I'd manufacture fate. I remember. You held the door, bought my coffee, asked about my camera. And you smiled at me like I was just a friendly stranger instead of someone who'd been strategically stalking you. It was the best smile I'd ever seen. He opened the box, revealing a ring. Simple, elegant, with a single perfect stone. Izzy Laurent, I'm done manufacturing coincidences. Done strategizing and planning every move. I'm just asking, directly and honestly, will you marry me? My heart stopped. The coffee shop, the callback to our beginning, the perfect full circle moment. This was so completely Nico. Strategic even in romance, but genuine in the emotion behind it. You brought me back to where we started. I wanted you to remember that first coincidence, that first conversation, how we built everything from manufactured meetings and careful honesty. And Izzy, I want to keep building. Want to marry you, create a legitimate life together, make good on every promise I've made. So yes, I'm asking here where it all began. Will you marry me? You're very confident I'll say yes. I'm very hopeful. There's a difference. But his hands were shaking slightly, betraying nerves beneath the confident exterior. Though if you say no, I'll ask again tomorrow. And every day after. I've proven I'm patient. I laughed, crying at the same time. You would, wouldn't you? Show up every morning with that ring until I agreed. Absolutely. I engineered coincidences for weeks just to talk to you. Marriage proposals would be easy in comparison. Then yes, save yourself the trouble of daily proposals. Yes, I'll marry you. His smile was blinding. Say it again. Yes, I'll marry you, Nico Santoro. Orchestrator of coincidences, strategic stalker, man who bought me coffee and changed my entire life. He slipped the ring on my finger. Perfect fit, of course, and kissed me while Mr. Chen cheered and took photos on his phone, already planning to frame them for the shop wall. This is perfect, I said against his lips. Completely perfectly you. Strategic romance, the best kind. Now come on, we have more stops. I've orchestrated an entire day of significant locations. Of course you have. He took me to the gallery where we'd coincidentally met the second time. Maya was waiting there with champagne, crying and hugging me and demanding to see the ring. I knew it. I knew he was planning something when he called asking about your schedule. She turned to Nico. You're lucky I like you. Otherwise, I'd lecture you about orchestrating my best friend's proposal. I'm very lucky. Thank you for being complicit in my romantic gestures. Always. But Nico, you better take care of her, or I'll hunt me down and cause severe harm, I know. Izzy's already warned me multiple times. He pulled me close. I'm aware of what I have. I won't take it for granted. The third stop was his restaurant, Santoro's, where he'd first told me about his world while handling a crisis. The private dining room was set up beautifully, and his entire family was there. His father, who I'd met twice, several cousins, and Sophia, who'd flown in from Florence specifically for this. You told everyone? I asked, overwhelmed. I told everyone a week ago when I planned this. They've been keeping the secret admirably. He addressed the room. Everyone, Izzy said yes. We're getting married. The celebration was loud, warm, overwhelming in the best way. Giovanni hugged me and called me daughter. Sophia cried and said she'd known from the first visit. The cousins toasted and made jokes about how long it took Nico to finally commit to someone. Took him long enough, one cousin said. We've been waiting a year for this proposal. I wanted it to be perfect. Worth the wait. Nico kept his arm around me, grounding me through the chaos. Izzy's worth perfect. Later, after lunch and too much wine, Sophia pulled me aside. He's been planning this for months. The ring, the coffee shop callback, getting Maya involved. Very elaborate. That's very him. It is. But Izzy, he's happy. Really happy. Less tense, more present. You did that. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for approving. Your opinion matters to him. And his happiness matters to me. Take care of each other. That's all I ask. That evening, back at the penthouse, I studied the ring. Simple, elegant. Exactly my style. Of course it was. Nico had probably analyzed every piece of jewelry I owned before designing it. You really did orchestrate an entire day. I orchestrated an entire relationship. Today was just staying on brand. He pulled me onto his lap. Did I do it right? The proposal? The locations? It was perfect. Strategic romance is apparently my weakness. Good, because I'm planning an equally strategic wedding. Unless you'd prefer something spontaneous and chaotic. With you? Strategic is safer. Plan away. Just include me in the planning this time. Partners, remember? Partners in everything. He kissed me softly. So, Mrs. Santoro, how does that sound? Terrifying and perfect. Like everything with you. 6 months later, the wedding was small. 50 people at a restaurant Nico had rented entirely. Intimate and warm with family and close friends. I wore a simple dress, carried a bouquet Sophia had helped me choose, and walked down an aisle lined with photos documenting our relationship. The orchestrated meetings, the coffee shop, the art gallery, our story in images. Nico waited at the altar in a dark suit, looking nervous and certain in equal measure. When I reached him, he took my hands and whispered, "You came. Where else would I be? I don't know, but I've been terrified all morning you'd realize you could do better." Too late. I'm already here. You're stuck with me now. The vows were simple. Promises to be honest, to choose each other daily, to build something real beyond strategy and careful planning. And when the officiant said, "You may kiss your bride," Nico did, thoroughly. While our guests cheered and Sophia cried, and Mr. Chen took approximately 300 photos. "This is real," I said against his lips. "We're actually married. We're actually married. You're actually my wife. I'm actually the luckiest man in New York." The reception was warm and loud, full of toasts and dancing and overwhelming love. Giovanni gave a speech about patience and finding the right person. Maya told embarrassing stories about my initial panic over Nico's coincidental meetings. And Nico's toast made everyone cry. A year and a half ago, I saw a woman in a coffee shop photographing morning light. And I knew she was different, knew I needed to know her. So I did what I do best. I strategized, planned, manufactured coincidences until I could work up courage to introduce myself properly. And Izzy, you could have run. Should have run, probably, but you stayed. You let me show you my world, accepted my complications, loved me despite all the reasons not to. You're the best thing I've ever strategized for, the best coincidence I ever manufactured, and I promise to spend our marriage showing up. Every day, every moment, choosing you the way you've chosen me. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. Later, during the last dance, he held me close and said, "I have one more surprise." Actually, 2. More surprises? You've already orchestrated an entire proposal and wedding. Just small ones. First, the operations are done. As of last week, everything is legitimate. Sold off, transitioned, clean. I'm just a restaurateur now. Nothing gray, nothing complicated. Just restaurants and investments and a very patient wife. Nico, that's amazing. You did it. 5 years early. I had motivation. You. A future we can build without moral compromise. So yes, I did it. We did it. He spun me gently. And second, I may have bought a building. In the East Village. With perfect light and space for a photography studio and gallery. For you. Wedding gift. You bought me a building? I bought us a building. For your work, your art. A space to showcase the beauty you find in ordinary moments. Because Izzy, you deserve a gallery of your own. A place to share your vision with the world. I was crying, overwhelmed by the gesture and the love behind it. That's too much. That's not nearly enough. But it's a start. Something to build on. Together. Together, I agreed. Always together. 1 year after the wedding, the gallery opening was packed. Wall-to-wall people viewing my latest collection. Manufactured moments. A series documenting chance encounters and orchestrated coincidences throughout New York. The coffee shop where Nico and I met. The art gallery where we randomly ran into each other. The docks where he'd shown me his world. All the places our story had unfolded. Nico stood beside me, his arm around my waist, greeting guests and looking proud. Completely legitimate now. No operations beyond his restaurants. Just a successful businessman supporting his wife's art career. This is incredible, Maya said, studying the photos. You've captured something beautiful. The intersection of fate and choice. That's what our whole relationship is. Fate that needed help. Choice disguised as coincidence. Very poetic. Very you, she hugged me. I'm proud of you. For taking the risk. For staying when most people would have run. Look what you built. I looked at the gallery. My gallery. In a building my husband bought me. Filled with art documenting our unusual beginning. And I felt it. Complete happiness. The kind that comes from choosing something complicated and making it work through honesty and patience and love. Ready to go home? Nico asked later, after the crowd thinned and we'd thanked everyone for coming. Always. Though home is less of a place and more wherever you are. Romantic. I'm rubbing off on you. You've been rubbing off on me since you first manufactured that coffee shop coincidence. I'm thoroughly corrupted by strategic romance now. We walked home through Manhattan streets, hand in hand, and I thought about beginnings, about manufactured coincidences and careful honesty, about a man brave enough to orchestrate fate and patient enough to wait for me to catch up. Nico? Yes? Thank you. For what? For seeing me that morning in the coffee shop. For being brave enough to manufacture coincidences. For showing me your whole world, even the complicated parts. For choosing me every day. I stopped, pulling him close. For all of it. Izzy, you're the one who stayed. Who accepted my world, my complications, my occasionally creepy devotion. If anyone should be thanking anyone, it's me thanking you for giving a strategic stalker a chance. Best decision I ever made. Saying yes to coffee that first morning. Best decision I ever made was walking into that shop and pretending it was coincidence. He kissed me under a streetlight, New York moving around us, completely in our own world. Though next time I'll just introduce myself directly. I've learned my lesson about manufactured fate. No, you haven't. You'll orchestrate something else. Anniversary plans, probably. Vacation destinations. Every major life event planned with strategic precision. Probably true. But Izzy? Yes? I'll always be honest about it. No more pretending coincidence. Just me. Loving you. Sometimes too strategically, but always genuinely. That's all I need. Strategic romance and honest love. Then that's what you'll get, every day. For the rest of our orchestrated life together. We went home to the penthouse that had become ours. My photography equipment in his office. My terrible taste in decorative pillows mixed with his minimalist aesthetic. Our life blended perfectly and imperfectly together. And as I fell asleep beside him, I thought about that first morning. The manufactured coincidence that started everything. The man who'd been brave enough to orchestrate fate because he saw something beautiful in how I photographed morning light.